These numbers almost couldn't be more similar. Same wins, same losses, $80 million each in profit. So the question is, how do we get from here to here? And the simple fact is, you all need to stop caring about your football team and start caring about your franchise and think of it as a business. Neither of these numbers, neither of these owners contain the two teams that played in the Super Bowl. They fell somewhere in the middle. These guys, those 10 owners, only 3 of them won their division and received the subsequent automatic bid into the playoffs. One of those teams won their division with an 8-7 record, which, I mean, make the playoffs, but I think we all would like it better than 8-7 record. So the question is, how do we take a mediocre team, a good team, or a bad team, and have them make money? The best example of this would, of course, be the guy who's way out in front of everyone else, and that's Jerry Jones of the Dallas Cowboys. His team has been 8-8 every single year for the past 10 seasons, and yet he makes almost $20 million more in profit than the next best guy. Jerry Jones is also the GM of his team. The GM is, of course, responsible for the football operations, whereas the owner would theoretically be responsible for the business operations. But most owners, most of you guys, you have it confused. And you're trying to be the owner trying to win. We need to be the owner trying to sell tickets, trying to sell jerseys, trying to sell hot dogs, trying to sell TV time, not winning. Jerry Jones is a really crappy GM, probably because he's spending half of his time being the owner. Instead, what happens, his team is terrible, but he puts a lot of heart and effort into being the owner, and they're very profitable. So we're going to follow his formula to create a profitable team and make the most money possible, which, as he has proven over the past 10 years, has absolutely nothing to do with winning football games. His formula is to create controversy. We're Americans, we love tabloids, we love to read it, they're awesome. You have to create it in sports. How about a quarterback who came from nowhere and is like pretty good sometimes, and then other times he's really terrible? So that everyone on TV wants to just talk about whether he's actually good or not. He wins some games to make you still like him, and then he loses a lot of games to make you cry and really want to kill him. Then you need a star player. Who? If he's also controversial, that's better. How about a diva wide receiver who can't follow orders but has more talent than anyone in the world, but probably won't ever realize it because he has a terrible attitude and just walks out of games? Everyone likes to buy his jersey because he's good and because people like to talk about him. He's important. He sells tickets. The next part is to have a terrible defense. No one cares about defense. That's why you have a fun wide receiver and a fun quarterback. They score a lot of points. How many touchdowns did Tony Romo have in that loss to Peyton Manning? A lot. And he lost. And we all watched it, and we all watched the highlights, and it was really awesome. You have to create a buzz about your team, which is why you have controversial players. You have to create an awesome stadium. Invest in your team. They don't win football games, but yet the stadium's always packed. Why is that? Because people care and want to watch the people, not the team, because the team is terrible and they don't win. So I'm here to tell you guys, if you really want to be successful as an owner, you kind of have to say screw the fans. Because unlike most corporations, there's not a board of directors. The only person who's going to fire you is you. And as long as your team is making $92 million a year in profit, you can keep posting this record for the next 10 seasons, and all you're going to do is rake in cash, and no one's going to fire you.
So the Eagles getting rid of Deshaun Jackson, do you think that's because they don't know this formula, because they believe